Hey folks, how would you like to make caramels? Hey! Like these. Ooh. Well, stay tuned and you'll find out. They're not too hard to make. Okay, first you want to cube the butter. And in our recipe we're using 2 sticks or a cup of butter. And I'll cube some for you. Take that there. That's good enough. And throw it in. So the next step after cubing the butter is to put it in the pan and put it on low. Why not medium low or medium or high? Well, you don't want the butter to separate. You want to melt it pretty gently. And while your butter is slowly melting over there, I lined my 8x8 brownie pan with parchment and butter on the inside. Where there is no parchment, you want butter. You could do 2 pieces of paper, one going the way you see here, and then one also going this way, but that's just kind of a waste of paper. So I found that if you just add some butter to the sides here in the bottom and the corners on each part there, that it's fine and the caramels will lift out no problem. Alright, the butter is fully melted. And I have my brown sugar, or at least about half of it, measured out here. Our recipe calls for 2 1/4 cups. I've got 1 1/4 cup. I don't like to have a bunch of cups to wash, so I'll just do another one as opposed to having everything pre-measured. But I also have my 1 cup of corn syrup, liquid measured out there, and a can of evaporated milk. This is a larger can, not a small can. It's 12 ounces. And again, it's all melted, so I'll just add my brown sugar. Now you do want to be careful because you don't want your brown sugar to go up the sides of the wall. So as you're adding it, just be careful that you don't get the brown sugar everywhere, or your caramels will crystallize. Alright, so I'll mix this in and I'll come back when it's all mixed in. Alright, so the brown sugar is incorporated except for the last cup here. So I will do that now. And I will show you how I incorporate that carefully. It's really not hard. This would come out. There we go. Again, I'm aiming for the middle. And I'm going to take a whisk here. And I'm just carefully kind of pressing it into the butter. And again, I'm trying not to get sugar everywhere by spattering. So you want to get this completely incorporated before the next step. And I will do that in a minute here. Alright, so the brown sugar is now incorporated at least somewhat into the butter. It's saturated, I should probably say. Now I have a pastry brush and, or whatever you might call this thing, and water, and I've started just washing down the sides of the pan. And this is to make sure that the caramel does not crystallize. So I'm just dipping it in water. And I'm washing down the sides of the pan. And I've kind of found that this step, I haven't had caramel crystallize yet, but this step is supposedly important, so I do it because I don't want to find out what crystallized caramel is like. So I do it, and then I only do it this once though, and then once I've got everything else incorporated, I'm all done. So I'll finish going around the pan and then I'll add my other ingredients and we'll finish up. Alright, my butter and brown sugar, all the sides are washed down in the pan after incorporating that. I'm now going to take my corn syrup here and my evaporated milk, and I'm going to add them in. So I'll do that now. A key note here is that the heat is still on low. I have not increased the heat yet, so I'm just trying to incorporate the ingredients here. and I'll have to get a spatula, but I can't because I'm doing this with one hand. But I'll empty that out with the spatula, then I will add that next. So let's review. I have cubed the butter and put it in a low heated pan. By the way, this is a 3-quart pot or pan here, and it is a thick, there's a thickness on the bottom. It's tri-ply, so it's got a nice thick core down there. And you don't want to use a non-stick pan because a non-stick coating will deteriorate making caramels. Caramels get very hot. Alright, so again, I got stainless steel pan, cubed butter on low. You add the brown sugar carefully to the middle and mix that in, and then you add the corn syrup. Oh, you want to wash the sides down with water first, and then add the corn syrup and the evaporated milk. And now I will whisk this all together. And again, I'm not going to make a big mess here. I'm just kind of lightly whisking, trying to just incorporate the ingredients. And this will take some time. Another thing you want to do now, as you're doing this, whisking it together, is turn your heat up from low. I like to do like a medium low, or kind of, you can kind of see what I did there, number 2. So again, I'm whisking, trying to incorporate everything, and it will start to look like a really sugary caramel color, not this yellowish liquid as you incorporate. So just kind of whisk it together and incorporate over this heat, and then I'll get back to you when I'm done with that. Alright folks, the ingredients are all incorporated. Sometimes that does take a while, but you kind of want to incorporate all the ingredients before you start getting the caramel to boil, and you can start to see that there are a few bubbles here, so it is starting to get there. I'm going to increase the temperature now. I already increased it, as you saw before, to the 2, but now I'm in the middle of increasing it here to about a medium high, as you can see there. So I'm doing medium high. You don't want to, I've read on the internet, you don't want to shock your caramels, so that's why you kind of go through the couple stage process of temperatures. But different people say different things at this point. What I've been doing is that I've been continually stirring the caramels, or off and on stirring the caramels. That helps the butter not separate from the caramels, and it makes for a less greasy caramel. Some people say to let it just sit by itself. I have not done that method yet. I probably will not. Why fix it if it's not broke? I also washed down the sides one more time here. I'm probably doing overkill, but I don't know. I hate to see a caramel batch go bad. So, I've got my pan all set here. This is going to begin to boil, and then we'll boil the heck out of this thing. And it will start to reduce, and all the milk will kind of evaporate and be left with all the milk sugars and all the other different kinds of sugar we put in there to make a really tasty caramel. There's one more ingredient I haven't added yet, and that's vanilla, and you add that at the very end. So, we're going to get boiling here. Again, I turn the heat up, and I'm going to start stirring, and I kind of like to do these little stirs. It helps to get the caramel, the butters, or the butter spots away from the sides or the edges. And once you do begin to see more boiling action, go ahead and stick your thermometer in there. I know it's messy up here, but this is my thermometer. It's just a Taylor. I got it from Target, and it's a Candy deep fry thermometer. And you want to calibrate it. Make sure you calibrate it in boiling water before you begin. Mine happens to be 4 degrees on the cool side, so I cook my caramels to 244 degrees Fahrenheit. I will be cooking this batch to 240 degrees to take care of that 4-degree difference in my thermometer. Alright, I'll update you in a minute here, or many minutes, once this begins to boil and reduce. Our caramel is boiling. This took about 5 minutes. So I can take my heat, and I'm actually going to turn it down to, oops, I'm going crazy here. Turn it down to medium. I'm going to a number 4 there, right in the middle. And again, it is boiling. The caramel kind of gets this scummy, bubbly layer on the outskirts of your pot there. I like to just, sorry, let me just fix this here. Whisk that right back in. Kind of reminds me of like if you boil bones for stock or something, the scum that comes from that. So we'll call it caramel scum. Go ahead and mix that caramel scum right back in. You can see it's boiling pretty ferociously there. The reason you want to use a 3-quart pan is because the milk that you add, or the cream or whatever you add to the sugar, when it starts boiling like this, it expands quite a bit. So you can see my pot is pretty full. Now this won't get any more full than it is, but it does expand quite a bit, and this is really hot stuff, so you got to be careful. And now I will add my thermometer. This would be a lot easier with 2 hands. Alright, that's sitting there I think pretty solidly. So, I'll be watching this. Again, my temperature is on medium, and this will just continue to boil. I'll just continue to stir this caramel scum back in. These light little whippy strokes here. Again, some people will say that this will cause crystallization. I've yet to have that happen, so I think this works great. And the smell is amazing. It starts to smell like caramel, and it is delicious. Alright, I'll be back with the next step. Alright, the caramel is at about 220 degrees Fahrenheit. I noticed that from beginning boiling to this temperature, it takes a while. I think a lot of the liquids have to boil out and will continue to boil out. You'll notice that the caramel gets quite a bit thicker than it used to be. Kind of reminds me of like a lava, and it will continue to thicken more like lava as you go. I haven't washed down the sides or anything since that second time. I really wouldn't worry too much about it. I'm probably just being too picky. Again, it's at about 220. If you see that softball there on the thermometer, that's what my goal is. I've got 20 more degrees to go with the caramels. That will probably take another 20 minutes or possibly half an hour. So just giving you a quick update here. Keep stirring I'm not stirring all the time, I'm stirring about once every couple minutes or a minute. And it's just a good stir to make sure all the caramel scum is away from the walls, and I'll move the thermometer and mix all that in, and just keep it together, mixed together, and you'll be fine.